RadioNOW 100.9's Indy Connection with Emily Metheny.
Hello, I'm Emily Metheny, your host. Coming up this week, we have one of my favorite events of the year that we do here at the station. It's the St. Jude Radiothon. So if you're not familiar with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, I'm really excited I get to introduce you to this wonderful organization. But first, to kind of understand what's happening with the Radiothon, RadioNOW 100.9 is teaming up with all of our sister stations here at RadioONE Indianapolis. That's Hot 96.3, 106.7 WTLC, AM1310 The Light, Telemundo Indy, and this year, Grande 105.1. We're all working together to fundraise and share the wonderful work that St. Jude does in our community nationally and internationally. To kind of kick off this week, I wanted to talk with Stephanie Dillon. She works for ALSAC, which is the fundraising branch of St. Jude. We talked a little bit about what people will be hearing this year during the Radiothon, how people can give, and if people aren't as familiar with St. Jude, where they can learn more about the organization and hear more patient stories before the Radiothon, and even sign up to become a partner in hope a little bit early. To start our conversation, I asked Stephanie to tell me, if someone's never heard of St. Jude before, what is the first thing that people need to know?
St. Jude is a place of hope for families battling some of the rarest and toughest forms of childhood cancer.
What else can you tell me about St. Jude? Like, what is St. Jude?
St. Jude is a research hospital and a treatment hospital for childhood cancer. When it was founded in 1962, our founder, Danny Thomas, believed that families should be able to receive treatment for cancer for their children, regardless of their ability to pay, their race, or their religion. And that is how the hospital still functions today. So if you know of anyone that goes to St. Jude, or you have to go there yourself, no family ever receives a bill, not for treatment, housing, food, or travel, because we've kept Danny's promise that families get to receive that treatment regardless. And in doing so, St. Jude focuses on some of the worst and the rarest forms of childhood cancer. And when families go there, they really are at a point of desperation in some cases. And so St. Jude gives them that hope, and it does it without adding all the extra stress of trying to decide, can I afford this treatment? Can I afford this hospital stay? Can I afford to move to Memphis for 2.5 years while my child goes through treatment? St. Jude takes care of all of that for our families so that they can only worry about their child and helping their child live.
And St. Jude, as a place of hope, people are able to go there without paying for or worrying about paying for anything. How is that possible?
It is possible because of our events that we hold, like our radiothons. It's possible because of our donors, and it's possible because of the organizations, including RadioONE, that support us every year and help make sure that we are promoting our cause and that donors are helping us take care of our families. If you look at our finances, 75% of all of our costs are managed just by donations, and our average donation from a donor is $37. And so we function very much on our donors. Danny Thomas, our founder, once said that he would rather have 1 million people give $1 to the hospital than one person give $1 million. And it's because he knew that this hospital can't run and can't do what it needs to do without support of everyone.
Which brings us to our Radiothon, which is coming up this Thursday, March 11th. And it's going to be all of the RadioONE stations here in Indianapolis who are doing it.
Yes, you are.
So if someone's not had an opportunity to listen into our Radiothon before, our sister station, AM1310 The Light, is one of the stations that really push out and share the messages of hope from St. Jude. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those messages of hope that people can hear on our sister station, AM1310 The Light, and then on all of our other stations like RadioNOW?
Yeah, the messages that you're going to hear on the Radiothon are from our patients and from our patient moms and dads and grandparents. You're going to hear what it feels like to walk into the hospital to hear those words, "My child has cancer." You're going to hear from the patient families what it feels like to know that somebody in some state that they've never met in their entire life has their back and is making those donations so that their child can live. And you're going to hear from, unfortunately, some of our families who did not win their battle with cancer. Unfortunately, we do still lose children, and you're going to hear from those families. And more often than not, what you hear from those families is that St. Jude gave them more time. So even though they lost their child, they still support St. Jude because St. Jude gave them that time and fought with everything that they had to try to save their child. And so what you hear from the Radiothon is the patients and the patient families, and you hear their stories, and you hear from their own words what it feels like to be at St. Jude and what it feels like to be treated at St. Jude.
So with the Radiothon, how are people able to give during the Radiothon, and can they do it before and after?
Yes, so there is a 1-800 number that they can give out that we will give out during the Radiothon, but they can also go to www.stjude.org/radio/WTLC and give there on the website directly as well.
Perfect. And so when someone is giving to St. Jude, can they do a one-time donation? Is there a way that they can set up to give every month? How does that work?
Yes, so what we ask for during the Radiothon is what we call our Partners in Hope. And our Partners in Hope are people that put $19 a month on their credit card or debit card. And they really are the backbone of our hospital. If you look at even the AM Light and WTLC and RadioONE, we have people that signed up as Partners in Hope for these Radiothons 10 years ago, and they're still partners with us. They're still giving that $19 a month. And really it helps the hospital keep going. It is the backbone of the hospital's donations. And it's an easy way. Nobody misses that $20, right? For most of us, even during hard times like we're in now, for most of us, we don't see that $20 coming off of our credit card bill. And so that's an easy way to give monthly, but you can also give one time. We are in hard times right now, and we recognize that. And so if your one-time donation is $5 or $50, it still goes to help the kids of St. Jude, and it's still very important to them.
Mm-hmm. And then with being a partner in hope, are there any benefits? Is there anything that you see by being a partner?
Sure. So first off, what you will receive within 2 weeks of becoming a partner is our new We Won't Stop t-shirt. It'll have the station's logos on the back, and it'll have our St. Jude logo on the front along with the statement, We Won't Stop. Danny was very firm that we won't stop as a hospital until there is no childhood cancer. So you'll get that. But then also monthly you'll get a little piece of information about one of the patients at our hospital, and you'll be able to see the different research that's happening at the hospital. You'll get more insider information as a partner.
Excellent. And kind of touching on the We Won't Stop with Danny Thomas, since the hospital started, how has the childhood cancer survival rate changed since 1963?
So when we first opened, the overall childhood cancer survival rate was 20%. For ALL, which is the most common form of childhood cancer, that survival rate was 4% and was essentially a death sentence in 1963. Now, the overall childhood cancer survival rate in the United States is over 80%, and the survival rate for ALL is over 94%. But I can tell you this, St. Jude doesn't think that's good enough. We're working on some global initiatives to make sure, because right now, if you look globally, that childhood cancer survival rate in other countries is still 20%. And that's not good enough for us here. So we're working with other countries to make sure that they have the means to operate similar to we do, to fundraise, to have the doctors and the expertise, and to have the research ability so that they can get their own childhood cancer survival rates up. And we actually have a patient mom that works for us. She lost her daughter. She got an extra year with her, but she lost her daughter. And she says all the time that when your child is in that 20%, then 80% isn't good enough. And that's why we still do our radiothons, and we still ask people to help us, because 1 in 5 children still don't survive their battle.
And to kind of touch more on the research side, St. Jude is constantly researching, and funds from the Radiothon support the families, and they're helping with these research initiatives and finding these cures, correct?
Yes, actually, if you drive by the hospital at any given time, night or day, you will see lights on in the research areas. Our researchers are very passionate about finding the cures and finding the next thing that can help each child. Danny set the hospital up so that our researchers actually eat lunch with our patient families. There is no separate doctor's lounge or research lounge for those guys and women. And so they, on a daily basis, they are seeing their children. They're seeing the people that they are researching for, and they're seeing the people that they're treating. And so we work really hard on that research. The dollars that are raised through radiothons and other events help pay for that research. And what it also does is allows us to move a little bit quicker. So, for instance, if a family is at their last stop and there is no other treatment available, but we found something that might work, but it's still exploratory, it's still not fully through an FDA process, our patient families can elect to say, you know what, I'm going to try it, right? Like, this is my last shot anyway, I'm going to try it. So it allows us to move faster. It allows us to create the chemo and make sure that the medicines that we give our patients are specific to their bodies and their needs. We have a pharmacy in-house that creates all of those for us, and it allows us to just treat the patients as quickly as we possibly can with every option that we have.
And with the research component as well, this research is shared globally.
Yes. Danny always said that a child saved at St. Jude is 1,000 children saved worldwide, and we still function that way. All of our research is shared with other hospitals, shared with other researchers. If somebody else takes it and moves forward with it and finds a cure or finds the next great treatment, we're okay with that. We want childhood cancer gone, and so it doesn't matter who takes that cure and who makes that happen. We're willing to share all of our research, and additionally, we share it with all of our local children's hospitals. So even hospitals here in Indianapolis use our protocol and can access our research as well when they are treating our patients.
So a child here treated locally for cancer, one of the protocols could have came from St. Jude. So even if kids aren't going to the hospital down in Memphis, they're still being treated and they're being saved due to research and support from people nationally and internationally.
Exactly. In fact, the standard treatment for ALL is a St. Jude protocol that was created at St. Jude, and most children's hospitals use that protocol at this point.
And during this, the St. Jude Radiothon coming up on March 11th here with the RadioONE stations, they'll be able to hear more patient stories and more about the research side, yeah?
Yeah, they'll learn more about the research side. They'll learn how we do some of the research and how we partner with other hospitals and other locations to make that research happen. They'll learn, like you said, about our patient stories, and they'll also learn more about Danny Thomas. Danny was, like I said, he was very firm. He was a Lebanese immigrant, and he was very firm that people should be treated fairly and equally and get the treatment that they need regardless of their ability to pay, their race, or their religion. And so you'll hear a little bit more about Danny and why he opened a hospital that he was going to serve everybody right in the middle of segregated Memphis in the 1960s. You'll hear how he managed race relations, religious issues, and the questions about why we could give this treatment away for free. So you'll hear a lot about the hospital and why it still functions the way Danny opened it in the 1960s.
And you mentioned that Danny is Lebanese. So how does the ALSAC play into St. Jude? How does that relationship work?
So ALSAC, which is who I work for directly, is the fundraising organization for St. Jude. Danny opened ALSAC. Actually, he incorporated ALSAC in Indianapolis in the early 60s, right before the hospital opened up. And it was his thought that if the researchers did not have to worry about their own fundraising, they could do more work. If the doctors didn't have to worry about fundraising or getting grants to pay for their research, then they could do more work. So he opened up ALSAC, and we are the people that go out and we do the fundraising, and we ask for the money, and we help raise awareness so that the researchers get to do what they're best at, and they don't have to worry about any of this.
Excellent. So when people see the title ALSAC or the organization, they're able to go, okay, so this is in relationship to St. Jude and Danny Thomas and finding cures.
Yes, ALSAC actually stands for American Lebanese Syrian Associated Charities because, like I said, Danny was Lebanese. He was an immigrant, and he felt very strongly that it was his responsibility to give back. And so the organization is named after his descent, and it was incorporated here in Indianapolis specifically to make sure that the hospital got the money that it needed, but the researchers were free to just be researchers.
Excellent. And then St. Jude doesn't just focus on cancer. It's also one of the other things that the hospital's been looking at is sickle cell. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Actually, one of the first grants that the hospital ever received was for sickle cell. Sickle cell, as many of us know, impacts predominantly our African-American population and some of our Cuban population. But it is something that is very difficult to treat. And so St. Jude has been treating it since they opened. In fact, St. Jude was heavily involved in figuring out that the protocol required treatment early on before the age of 2 for our children with sickle cell so that they would survive past the age of 2, because very early on, children still weren't making it past 2. And if you look at some of our initiatives within St. Jude, one of the big initiatives right now with sickle cell is to figure out what that cure is or what a better treatment plan is. St. Jude is one of the only hospitals that's ever treated and cured sickle cell. We actually had a patient that had leukemia and sickle cell, and when she went in for the bone marrow transplant to treat her leukemia and came out of that, her sickle cell was cured. That's not a treatment plan that can work for everybody. Bone marrow transplants are very dangerous. So right now, St. Jude is looking at how do we replicate that process that happened so that we can potentially cure sickle cell as well.
Excellent. And those are just a couple examples of the work that St. Jude is doing to save children and share research.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at St. Jude, they are, because of some of the information that they've learned about brain cancer, they're now looking at childhood ALS. Honestly, when I started with St. Jude, I didn't even know there was a childhood form of ALS. And so they're looking at how they can take the information that they've learned treating brain cancer to treat ALS. St. Jude every year is one of the 4 hospitals that helps create the flu vaccine. It's been very heavily involved in the COVID-19 vaccine as well. So they take what they learn in their own research for cancer, and if they can use it somewhere else, or if they can help treat something else, then they will do that as well. Excellent.
And if you want to become a partner in hope, you can listen in this Thursday, March 11th on RadioNOW 100.9, Hot 96.3, 106.7 WTLC, AM1310 The Light, and newly this year we have Grande 105.1 also joining the family as well to do the radiothon. I think that Telemundo Indy is also doing something on air to also share the message.
Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. And Stephanie, as we start to wrap up, we'll be hearing from patients' families and a lot of other people coming up on Thursday. And they're going to talk about some of their experiences and all of this. Can you share your favorite St. Jude story with us?
Oh, gosh.
I know I'm asking a lot.
Story. I think my favorite one, so one of the first times that I ever went to the hospital, because whenever you think that you're going to this hospital to visit, you think it's going to be a sterile environment, and it's going to be sad, but it's not, and it is brightly painted, and the pictures on every hallway are replica of the kids that are in the hospital. So you'll see some kids with a leg amputated or an eye patch, or most of them have no hair. And I remember one of the first times that I was walking through the hall, this little baby was just walking through, had all the tubes from treatment, everything attached, but he was high-fiving and he was dancing around, and every doctor that saw him walk through that hallway stopped to dance with him and laugh with him. And it was just one of those cool moments when you're like, this is not a hospital. Like, this isn't a real hospital. That's not how you look in a hospital. And he was just, treatments that would take down most adults, he did not care about. He was, the star of his own show in that moment, and everybody loved him. And it was one of my first experiences, so it was really cool to walk in and realize, like, this is who I'm working for, these little kids right here.
Excellent. That's a wonderful story. I love that. And before we wrap up, if people want to learn more about St. Jude ahead of the Radiothon or learn more about being a partner in hope before the sign-up that we're hosting on March 11th with all of our radio stations here at Radio One, where can people find more information?
I always send people to stjude.org. You can find more patient and family stories. You can find information about our research. You can find information about our events that we hold across the country. You can learn information about our Partner in Hope program, and you can just mostly focus on the patient family stories. There's a lot of them that you can read about and just learn how it impacts each family differently. Excellent.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Stephanie?
I just want to remind people that this is an opportunity to give hope. This is an opportunity to tell our patient families that we here in Indianapolis, we've got your back. We're going to help you while you are fighting the worst battle that nobody should ever have to fight. We're here and we're going to support you. And it's just a really cool way to be able to say that you're supporting a family in one of their darkest times.
And especially after the year we've had, being able to give hope.
Yes.
In such an important way to an amazing organization that does so much for so many.
Yeah, it's huge. We one of our patient dads, he says a lot that he loves a bunch of people he's never met because he knows that our Partners in Hope are the ones that help save his kid.
And you can become a Partner in Hope this Thursday, March 11th, by joining Radio One and all of our sister stations for our Radiothon with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Thank you for joining me today, and please join me again next week, and even before that, please join me on March 11th, that's this Thursday, for our Radiothon. We're going to be doing it on all of our stations, so you can listen here on RadioNOW 100.9. Jules will have information, DJ Gabby Love will have information, Elliot King will have the information. Just please join us. It'll be awesome. You'll learn so much and hear patient stories. You'll hear about the research that's being done for childhood cancer that's been done for the COVID-19 vaccine. All these different things you'll be able to hear during our Radiothon this Thursday, March 11th. And you can hear it on our station, RadioNOW 100.9. You can hear it on Hot 96.3. You can hear it on AM1310 The Light. You'll be able to hear it on 106.7 WTLC. And if you want to hear it in Spanish, on our station, Grande 105.1, this is their first year being part of the RadioONE Indianapolis Radiothon with us. And plus, you'll be able to see some stuff on Telemundo Indy as well. So no matter how you want to interact with this information and become a Partner in Hope, you can do it on our social media. You can listen. You can watch it on TV. In English and in Spanish. So please join us. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a day of hope. And we really, really want you to join us. And if you want to become a Partner in Hope right now, you can go to stjude.org/radio/WTLC. If you have any topics you'd like me to cover, or if you just want to reach out in general, you can email me at emetheny, that's EMETHENY, at radio-one.com. Or you can message me on Twitter at Emily Does Video. Have a great week.
RadioNOW 100.9's Indie Connection with Emily Metheny.